he knows everything about houses. I mean, you walk through and like stuff I never would have thought to include and stuff. Bryan knows.
We used to use a formula, 65% of the after repair value minus repairs. That was going away. You want your wholesaler to make money. I mean, because you want him to keep calling you.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, yeah, they've got to be very good at what they do when they get in front of that seller and have a conversation with them. This is absolutely a great business. I mean, everything about it I love. And but again, you still have to be disciplined in the business. Just thinking about holding rentals in Birmingham or doing whatever in Birmingham, but you don't live here. Come see the city. Come spend a long weekend and just drive it. And that's what I don't understand. You can make money doing it the right way.
That's
you
right.
don't have to take someone to the cleaners.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Evernest Real Estate Investor Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Spencer Sutton, and I have my co-host with me, Adam Hobson. Adam, welcome back to the show, man.
Good to be here.
Hey, we're excited because for the past 15, 20 episodes we've been recording, I know that we will mention a name. It comes up over and over and over, and you are usually bringing our guest up in our conversation. You'll just reference Bryan, our friend Bryan. And the reason why we reference Bryan Miles so much is because he's been investing in real estate and specifically Birmingham real estate probably since 1999 or 1998?
1999.
1999. And so our special guest is Bryan Miles. He's here with us. Bryan, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you. This is like we've been sitting here talking for 15, 20 minutes before the podcast, so we had to hit record. And so you like Bryan, you're I could say a legend in the Birmingham market. And what would make a legend in the Birmingham market? I would say somebody who's persevered through ups and downs in the real estate market, somebody who has integrity, has not ever cheated anybody, who does what they say they're going to do. And then thirdly, I just think somebody who's been successful, right? It'd be different if you never did anything, like you were never successful in real estate, but I think you are. And so we're glad to have you here and just kind of shoot the bull.
Great. I'm glad to be here.
Well, good. Well, hopefully you'll talk as much as you do when the cameras aren't rolling.
We'll give it a shot. Something about these cameras do something to me, but we'll be good.
Well, what I can say from, I do always mention Bryan Miles because when I started out as a wholesaler in 2018, I sold Bryan and one of his partners, Trey, a lot of houses. And I remember I walked so many houses with Bryan, and Bryan's a wealth of knowledge. Like he knows not only did he used to be a FedEx driver, and he knows every street. He didn't have to use GPS. He's like, I'm in the 1300 block of this, and then I'm like, hey, listen, just give me the address. I'm going to put it in my GPS because I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But he knows everything about houses. I mean, you walk through and like stuff I never would have thought to include and stuff. Bryan knows. I learned so much from Bryan just from selling him houses. I'm glad I did because like he called and he does this still. He still calls my bandit signs. He called mine the other day and said, oh, well, this is you. I didn't realize this was your sign. He calls everybody's bandit signs on the side of the road, which is smart, gets their numbers so that they can send him deals, which is exactly how we started, doing business together. And here we are. Now he's a lender. He's a buddy of mine. So it's, I've learned so much, but like you said, he's a wealth of knowledge and knows, just about everything there is in the real estate market. So
isn't that interesting? Like one of the things I love about real estate, especially if you're doing real estate in your local market, is just the relationships you make over time.
Oh,
right?
It's wonderful.
I mean, just think about all the relationships you've had over the years, and people become friends, people become business partners, you do deals together. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So Bryan, I was trying to think this morning as I was coming into the office, I was like trying to think, when did we first meet? Were we competing for a house against each other, or was I trying to sell you a house?
We met on Roebuck Circle is where we met. Yeah. I went to look at that house, and you and Roland were together. And
that's when we met.
That's where we met. Uh-huh.
And so who bought that house? Did we buy
We
it?
didn't.
Okay,
I
maybe
didn't
we
buy it.
did. Maybe we did. Maybe
Yeah.
that means we paid too much. What I love about going up against Bryan in the old days is he was so conservative.
Yeah.
That I could probably pay a little bit more than Bryan. So he was always buying deeper than me.
That's why I'm still working today.
That's
because
right.
I was too conservative.
That's why I'm out. And
But also on that note, if Bryan ever says, "Hey, let's do this deal," it's gonna be a good one because he is conservative. But if he ever says, "Hey, that's a good deal," that's a good deal.
yeah, you can bank on it,
Yeah.
right? You can bank on it. Whereas so many people in real estate today talk about good deals, but they don't really even know what a good deal is. And so you got to be super careful, which is why I love like podcasts and doing YouTube videos, because I want people to make really wise decisions. It does nobody any good to see investors buy houses overpriced, et cetera, et cetera. So just kind of how you've been involved in real estate over the past 20 plus years. You and I were competitors. You were working with somebody who was buying houses, so you were out buying houses. Then Roland and I convinced you to come and help us as we were kind of growing our business, and we needed somebody with a ton of experience. And you so graciously came and worked with us. And you had always been buying houses, right? You had rentals at that point. You continued to have rentals of your own, and then you bought your own Homevestor franchise. And then, like when 2008 came, and we want to talk about 2008 because it was so rough. When Evernest started, you really started this with Matthew Whitaker, who's our founder, CEO. Like you were here from day one when the property management company started with just like 30 rentals. Did you also were your rentals a part of the portfolio?
No. No.
So you did not have, you were just doing your own rentals.
Yeah, I just managed my own rentals. But I met Matthew at 1500 Cherry Avenue. And
right.
we sat outside and talked about what are we going to do now? Because
This is in 2008 or 2007?
This is the end of 2007.
Yep.
Markets had gone away. You didn't need advertising. A house was a dime a dozen. I mean, you could go buy one for nothing. Yep. But you couldn't get rid of it then. So you either had to put it in a rental portfolio,
and that's because all the people we were selling to, which were usually local real estate investors, were gone. A lot of them were using debt, and a lot of them were probably over leveraged. So they were struggling as much as we were struggling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not making money. I was just doing everything that I could to hold on. Pay debt.
So what did you and Matthew decide when you were at 1500 Cherry? What are we going to do?
The conversation was, I think I can manage houses. And Matthew said, well, how are you going to do it? And I said, well, I hadn't figured out that part. And he said, well, let's go talk to my partners. So we sat down with the Bakers at their dining room table. And that's where what now is Evernest started, was at that dining room table.
Which is really crazy to think about because it was essentially at that point in time in the real estate market, it was, okay, we were making money and now we're making nothing. And you have to figure out a way to survive, right? Because you have debts to pay. And so some people gave everything back to the banks or whatever, or declared bankruptcy or whatever. And then other people figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, Julie and I talked about it, and I said, we're not giving anything back. We'll figure it out. But we just took one. I had 13 houses that had been bought through Homevestors, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Took one house at a time, rehabbed it, and was able to sell it. The whole goal was just to pay the debt. And I sold my last 3 to 2 guys. They were rentals. The last 3 were rentals. And it took from about 2008 when the markets changed until about 2013. And that was of those 13, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
Yeah, but those weren't your personal rentals necessarily.
No.
Those were houses you bought as a part of the Homevestor franchise that you were meaning to wholesale or flip or something like that, right? So it was like leftover inventory that you had for 5 years after that.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you still had some rentals, and then you bought another HomeVestor franchise in 2014 to kind of get back into it. But apparently the business had changed,
Man,
right?
It had changed. Yeah, houses, in my opinion, were expensive like they are today. And, we used to use a formula, 65% of the after repair value minus repairs. That was going away. We were having to step that up a little bit.
Like step it up, like pay more.
Pay more, yeah. Pay more for it. That 65% went to, 70%. And today, I don't know what some of these folks pay.
I think it's closer to 80. What would you explain? Because I think there's some people maybe that are brand new to real estate that don't know what that formula is. Can you just explain that formula, what you're talking about?
Yeah, so if you have a house that's in its very best condition in that neighborhood, and it's a $100,000 house on the retail market, well, 65% of that, just back that out, and then back the repairs out. So, if you've got now a $65,000 house with $20,000 repairs, if I can pay $45,000 for that house, I am comfortable that I can fix that house up, put it on the retail market, and sell it, and make a profit out of it, pay my debt and my holding cost, and make a little bit of money.
So that other 35% accounts for your holding cost, your maybe commissions on both sides to close it if you put on the retail market and all that kind of stuff. But even as a wholesaler, you have to do that. Let's call it the same numbers you did, the 65%, minus repairs. If you're at what number did you say you were at? 45,000. Then as a wholesaler, you have to tack on another 5 or 10. So maybe as a wholesaler, you have to buy it for 35,000.
That's right.
To be able to make 10 grand on it.
Yeah.
So.
And you want your you want your wholesaler to make money. Because you want him to keep calling you.
Yeah, that's right.
And they've got to be very good at what they do when they get in front of that seller and have a conversation with them.
How many, longevity is a big deal in the real estate world. Why do you think some people don't make it? And you've seen a lot of that since 1999. Why do you think, like, if you had to point out one or two things, like, people will not make it in this business if they what?
Well, first of all, you better be driven like that man is. And you're just pounding the pavement constantly. It's not an easy business. It costs money to do it. We just saw a guy that put out a Facebook post.
Yeah.
And he was making money, but he was spending it as fast as he could. And he got himself in trouble.
It was a local wholesaler here in Birmingham.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you mean? He was making money, but then he was turning around and spending it?
Life was good.
Okay, life was good, yeah.
Life was good. I'm making a lot of money. I'm getting ready to go have fun. And you just cannot do that.
He pretty much made a vulnerable post on Facebook, which I applaud. That's very,
I do too.
And Bryan was actually part of this guy getting started. Bryan went and spoke. This guy was a teacher. I believe Bryan went and spoke at a classroom back 2017, 2018, something like that, roughly. And anyway, this guy made a vulnerable post. He had wholesaled during what I would consider the best year. This 2021, 22, interest rates are super low. You could go out
tons of demand.
Yeah. You could go out and get any house under contract and sell it. You didn't have to be very good at it, to be honest with you. I was during that time. I'm super thankful I was. But anyway, he made a super vulnerable post about, hey, I made a bunch of money wholesaling. I blew it all. I was stupid, and now I can't find anything. I can't find a house. Wholesaling's dead. And I swear there was probably 160 comments which is pretty insane on Facebook. People kind of saying the same thing. And me and Bryan were talking about this. People we think in Birmingham that are making money, or some of these people got on there and said, yeah, I was this way earlier in the year. I'm still not even at break even yet, but I'm hopeful by the end of the year I'll make some money. This is somebody that spends like $30,000 a month in marketing. Looks like they're selling all kinds of houses on Facebook, and then you see this post come out, which they're being vulnerable and honest. That's great. I applaud that for sure. But all that to say, yeah, this was somebody that was making money and then they didn't. But back to your original question, I think you'd ask Bryan about.
Yeah, but I think those were two great points, right? So you have to be driven to succeed. And that kind of goes back for me, when I'm talking to investors, I want to know their why. Like, why are you doing this? Yes, I know you want to make money. Great. Beyond making money, we were talking about this earlier, beyond making money, what is driving you? Is there something else driving you? Because if you don't have that driven personality, a lot of times you'll just kind of wander and drift. And if things get hard, then you'll just quit and go, oh, well, this isn't for me. I'm out. I'm leaving. So driven, but then also to your point, like understand, I think it's really helpful to understand a bull market and be able to take advantage of it without overextending yourself, right? Without confusing what we did, Bryan, Roland and I, we thought we were so smart. And we were, but it was really a bull market. I mean, a bull market helped us, right? This was 03, 04, 05, 06.
Well, the other thing that you and Roland had, first of all, he was a phenomenal buyer. That dude knew how to go buy houses. Yep. You knew how to sell houses.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And I mean, the Homevestor days, you're cherry picking what you wanted to buy. You all got so many phone calls. Those letters would go out. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, so that is true. We could cherry pick, right? We could say, hey, we could be at that 65% of ARV minus repairs all day long and just be like, we're going to make 25, 30 offers. We're okay. We're going to buy the 4 or 5 best out there. Yeah. And we were okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good days. That's right, for sure. Days, they were fun days is what they were. Yeah. This is absolutely a great business. I mean, everything about it I love. And, but again, you still have to be disciplined in the business enough to, when you're going to buy it, just make sure. Adam and I have bought one that's about 75 miles from here. But the beauty of this one is we could go retail it. I don't think either of us want to do that. Mm-hmm. But there's other options with this house. And we actually put it under contract this morning. Okay. I sent the contract off to the buyer's agent.
And are you selling it, not selling it retail? What are you doing, wholesaling it?
It is it's being wholesaled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And we bought it. Yeah, used private money. We bought it and then we turned around and sell it. So we did close on it. But,
yeah. Right. It was a wholesale, but you closed on it.
We own the property. Mm-hmm. And if for some reason this falls through and we're unable to move it, we have other options. And that is a beautiful thing when you buy a house and you're going, I don't just have to retail the house. I can go in there, but we've got 5 acres of land. I can go in there and we can put mobile homes on it. Mm-hmm. We can maybe sell it owner financing to somebody. There is something to be said for that when you have options.
I recorded a video somewhat recently where it was all about, and we were actually recording a podcast about like having options. Mm-hmm. Like one of the big mistakes is people go in with just like one option. Well, I've got to do this with this house. This is the only way it works. And I think I learned that from you, actually. I think I was in one of your houses and you were saying to me, hey, I have options with this house. My number one priority is to do an owner finance with this property. That's what I want to do. But if I can't sell it for some reason, I can rent it. I could fix it up and put it on the market retail. There was a house like 3 doors down on the market that was in a nice area. And this was I think somewhere in East Lake, somewhere in a better part of East Lake. You could do all kinds of things if you wanted to. And I think that is something really, really good if you don't get pigeonholed. I think that comes with experience though, right? Because you started wholesaling or did you start? You actually started buying and holding, right?
Yes. So I was holding rentals.
But then you started working with somebody and you kind of learned what they were doing.
Yep.
And they were doing flips for the most part and holding rentals.
We were doing about 25 flips a year.
Yep.
And most of that was taking place in the western part of Birmingham.
Yep. So having options really important. What else? What's another? If you were just saying, hey, this is the path to success Because what I love about Bryan, as you've been a recipient of, and so have I, is that he really is, he's like an unofficial educator and that he's happy to share any kind of information he wants with people. And you do that, and then like people take your advice and go and do different things.
If there's two things I would tell anybody getting into the business that is thinking about holding rentals in Birmingham or doing whatever in Birmingham, but you don't live here, come see the city. Come spend a long weekend and just drive it. Look at these neighborhoods. If you're not going to do that, have every one of your houses inspected before you buy it. Just put an inspection period in there. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of about $350. That'll be some of the best money you've ever spent in your life if you will have that house inspected before buying.
I also add to that, no matter where you're investing, and if you're out of state, right? So if you're investing in St. Louis or Detroit or Columbus, Ohio, or Birmingham, Alabama, I'm a big believer in finding a property manager that you can have a conversation with, because they know the streets, they know the reality on the ground, and they're going to tell you the truth, probably more so than a wholesaler or a turnkey provider or somebody else that's really trying to sell that house. Because they're, at the end of the day, they're looking for a fee, which I was a wholesaler, so I understand that. They're looking for a fee, and they only get paid when you buy. The property manager is looking for a long-term relationship, and they don't, like, if they start off on a bad foot, if they told you should definitely buy this house and it turns out to be like the worst decision in your life, it's going to be a nightmare for them as well as for you. So I think an honest property manager can be a wealth of information for people.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agreed.
If I can add one thing to one key thing, I think probably persevering, not giving up, because 2008, both of you guys, y'all could be right now working at the airport, at FedEx, doing something other than property management and real estate, but y'all stuck with it. You're like, hey, yes, 2008 hit us hard, which, I don't get the people that don't listen to people that went through that. Some people now think, oh, that's never going to happen again. Well, we also thought COVID would never happen. We also thought, interest rates never would have hit all-time low and stuff fly off the shelf. So all that to say, I think if you stay in the market, no matter what, and this is what I told the gentleman on Facebook when I responded to his post, it doesn't matter what you do. You have to get a job. You have to support your family, do whatever. Don't stop real estate. Eventually, it will come back. And, I'm just listening to, like, you two guys who've been into it forever. I just started in 2018, but, like, I am willing to listen to other people, and I think if you don't stop, eventually you're going to catch back up and you're going to be good at it again.
Two great qualities. Don't stop and be teachable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Be teachable, 100%. Be coachable, be humble enough to say, I don't know everything. And then I think that opens you up to trying to recognize, this is a different market. We're in a different market than we were in 22, right? So how do you adjust? How do you adjust your plans or what you're doing to try to survive the market or thrive in it? Even since
I started in 2018, I saw people that had a 1 or 2 year run, or that had a 1 or 2 year run, and then you don't ever hear from them again. Wholesalers that started out, and you could just kind of see what was happening. They would make a couple of good checks, and then they would post something on Facebook about spending some money, and then all of a sudden they're just out of the market. Or people all of us know probably that are very sketchy people that I won't mention on here, but we all know who they are, that they're just not around anymore. You don't really hear their names much anymore. Some of them you do, unfortunately, because they're just good con artists. But, y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm sure y'all could probably name 3 or 4 off the top of your head. But
we've seen a lot of that.
I don't know how these people make it, but all I can say is, some people had good runs, but even since 2018, there's been people that dropped out, and there were people that I can remember making fun of me. I was sitting in a real estate meeting, never done the first deal. 2 or 3 of these other guys who started about the same time I did, I got my website, I got my business cards. They were showing each other business cards. They were like, "Do you have any of that?" I'm like, "Nope, sure don't." They were like, "What do you do?" I was like, "I'm handwriting these bandit signs. I'm going to put them out on Saturday after I work." And they were like, "Oh, and they were kind of like laughing. Well, these guys are gone, because I don't know what all they spent money on. I'm sure their website's still there and they're paying for it, but they never made any money, So anyway, all that to say, if you start out, what you can do, don't go out there and before you even have your first deal, have cards made and go for billboards and all this stuff. start small and it'll eventually compound on itself, you know?
Yeah, that's a part of like not giving up. It's just like, to me, it's like, what are small, simple steps you can take every day to achieve your goal? And a lot of people have to do this when they have another job, which is fine.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, which is 100% fine. We actually, we bought a franchise. So we like had a system. That system probably saved us maybe 6 months or a year of learning by giving us a system and saying, if you follow this system and if you pay the advertising, we're going to bring you leads. And if you follow the system, you'll buy properties, so we did kind of jump into it with both feet. But we knew people who had the franchise and we're like, yeah, this model works. I've heard it from people in Nashville and Atlanta. So it just worked. Bryan, how many, you can't even count them, how many people have come and gone in the business like what Adam's talking about and done it in a way that their reputation was ruined. I mean, the fact that you've been around so long is just again, to me, a testament of like integrity of doing the right things at all times, no matter if it's, you don't make any money from it. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, of course, I don't, who knows that number, but the other day I saw a guy, Adam, used to sell this guy a number of houses over in the East Lake area. I found him in Arizona now.
Yeah.
And
working, like doing houses in Arizona?
He's back. Yeah.
Okay.
He's back up and running.
Gotcha.
But
and to this guy's character as well, he's also being very transparent. I don't know if you looked to see, he's also being very transparent about his journey, about how he got too big for his, britches, as we say in the South, and he kind of, got way in over his head, had a failing business, and now he's kind of starting over in Arizona, doing it one house at a time. So I'll applaud him for that, but not to interrupt, but that's I'll give him that.
But he just happened to be an individual that as Adam said, he got too big for his britches.
We've known people to go to jail. We've known people to go to jail. We've known. I remember a husband and wife combo that were screwing investors, out-of-state investors, by selling them things and like not producing anything. They were like collecting all this money and not doing the repairs. They got run out of town. There's another person who was here from Utah. He got run out of town. I mean, it's just if you aren't doing things the right way, you can't last. Like you can't make it. And
that's what I don't understand. You can make money doing it the right way.
That's right.
You don't have to take someone to the cleaners. You do not have to do that.
You may not make as much money as quickly, but over the long run, you will always make more money.
Yeah.
And you'll build great relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'll tell you too, when Bryan, he helps some people buy stuff out of state now, because Bryan's an agent, he's an investor, he flips houses, he's been property manager. So like we said earlier, he kind of knows a little bit of everything.
He's still in property management.
Yeah.
He's actually a competitor of mine.
Yeah.
What's he even doing here? Never mind. Go ahead.
That's right. But he will, he buys properties for these two guys out of town, and they're trusting him to go look at these houses. And even though he's going to make a commission if he sells it, a lot of agents would say, well, hey, you do your own due diligence, or hey, I think this will be okay. Bryan will straight up tell these guys, hey, you don't need to buy this house. This foundation's messed up. He could have just, he could say, like a lot of people do, look, it's kind of up to you. If you want to come down here and look at it, you can, but this house is okay. And then they buy it, and then, Bryan is sitting here making commission on it, but he doesn't do that. He probably should. I don't know how many houses you look for those two brothers, but it's a lot of houses, and most of them they don't buy, but I mean, because he's honest with them,
Yeah, that's right. And that's just proof of like long-term relationship, like building trust in the market. People will keep coming back. And so even if you turn down that $5,000 commission or $10,000 fee, in the long run, it'll all come back to you.
That's right. Yep.
I think Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. And that's ultimately that's like just good business practice.
Yeah. You can have everything you want if you help enough other people.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
The GOAT.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? I know, Bryan, you've got a time limit.
I can't think of anything. I haven't worked since 1999.
What does that mean? You hadn't worked?
It's just a great way to get up and spend your day. Great way.
What's your favorite part of real estate?
I would tell you today, I'm relatively bored today. I give Adam a little bit of money, and I
So
make
you do a little bit of hard money lending.
I do a little bit of that. I still, Trey and I still buy a house or two. One of my problems today is some of these owner finances are on 30-year mortgages, so I'm going to keep putting them on 30-year mortgages because I got to live. I got to live until they pay off. So right now we're shooting for 95, and but it's just a great way to spend your day. Yeah. My goal is now I want to build new construction or a new construction. I've got the plans. I know what I want to build. It's just a matter of trying to decide where to build it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you remember Lewis Grundler or not. Mm-hmm. Lewis lives in Fort Payne. But anyway, Lewis did all of our maintenance at GK Houses, our Golden Key at the time. Mm-hmm. He did it all. He was so good. And probably Lewis and I will.
Build some houses.
I've talked to him, and we're going to build a house.
Yeah.
He's building new construction right now in Mentone, and I think he and I will try to find a lot and build on it. He's a builder. He's got his hands in all of that stuff. So
we just actually started a partnership with Lennar. Are you familiar with Lennar?
I know of them.
Yeah,
yes.
One of the nation's largest home builders, and so they're doing a lot of build-to-rent communities.
Okay,
a lot of call it BTR.
Will we see any of it in Birmingham?
Yeah, they have some outside, a little bit outside of Birmingham, a little bit further out already. So they have a marketplace, like a Lennar marketplace for investors. You can go and pick build-to-rent because a lot of and they're doing like different types of incentives, or like buying down rates and stuff like that to make it more affordable for investors. But I remember Price Hightower was probably the first one we ever knew that was doing build to rent.
Yeah,
and that was back in early 2000s, mid 2000s.
And Price is still doing it.
He's still doing it. Yeah, he's still crushing it.
He is very good at what he does.
Very good. Yeah. We had him on a podcast one time many years ago, and he's just a phenomenal guy.
Yeah,
another person with a lot of integrity.
Mm-hmm. and nice guy.
Nice guy, and has the longevity to prove that he's always done the right thing.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. Well, this has been fun, man.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
You weren't too nervous. This has been great.
Hadn't been bad at all. We're good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. And if you haven't already gone ahead and subscribed, we want you to go ahead and subscribe to the podcast and tell your friends about it. And we'll be back next week with another episode of the Evernest Real Estate Investor.